So without further ado, let's get it on!
Get it on the floor!
Well, strap yourself in, boys and gals. Sylvanas made it to the front page of the new Blizzcon key art poster, so you know the next expansion is all about her, right? Also Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2, but more important than all this, dude, what the hell is happening in 8.2.5? 6 minute cinematic? The BFA war campaign ending? All this plus more, so grab your snack and watch until the end because we have another bumpy ride in this week's On Cooldown, your weekly WoW News show.
Hey guys, I'm back. I am so excited about this old BlizzCon 2019, man. But what about you guys, huh? You guys okay? Cause you didn't call or message me or anything, and then
Oh shit, he's back.
Oh, who's back? I know, right? Hey guys, welcome to On Cooldown, another edition of our weekly WoW News show.
BlizzCon 2019, everybody. 8.2.5. We got that big ass cinematic. There's a lot to talk about today, man. That poster, that key art poster for BlizzCon 2019 is out, and we're gonna have a really huge talk about that shit. And what else?
Oh man, 8.2.5 is seeing Sylvanas on the forefront of the, you know, what's next panel.
Splash screen.
Splash screen, sure, whatever. And we haven't seen her there in a while. And if you look really close, Anduin is there too, but he's like really small in the back.
Yeah, he's taking the back seat for this one.
Yeah.
I mean, it does say that it will be the conclusion.
Yes. So we are done with the war campaign with 8.2.5, which brings a lot of questions to the table, one of which is what's going to happen in 8.3 then?
Well, stick around until the end because we're gonna go deep diving in all this shit, plus the new recruiter friend system.
Oh, I can get some cool new mounts because I don't have any
Not
friends.
that many. Well, we'll talk about this. We'll talk about this. So without further ado, let's get it on. A lot of us are getting their hopes up for a better World of Warcraft, and you would put even more faith with the upcoming BlizzCon 2019, especially when looking at the brand new key art poster for the event. While in many cases, these posters had subtle references to what was to be announced at that year's event. Although that wasn't always the case, it doesn't stop me and you for going into a bit of an analysis. First off, I think it's safe to say that they had a terrible convention last year. They know it, they felt it, so this BlizzCon will surely be unforgettable. We can spot here the one and only Sylvanas, which can make you believe that the new expansion to be announced will have her center staged, and with all the leaks and speculations running wild lately, who can blame you? I, on the other hand, believe that she will be part of a cinematic. Not in-game, not expansion related, but BFA related, because her presence in 8.2 has been rather inexistent, wouldn't you say? And all cinematics that were done surrounding Saurfang and then Anduin and Saurfang and Thrall, I think we will finally get to see her part of the story in a kick-ass, fully CGI rendered cinematic. Mark my words. This isn't to say we will not get a new expansion announcement. You'd be surprised if we wouldn't, right? Thing is, traditionally, they always talked about an upcoming patch within the same World of Warcraft new expansion announcement. Not at the same panel, but within the same event. And if that is the case, then this possible Sylvanas cinematics could lead us into a deeper dive into patch 8.3. And also having us conclude the Battle for Azeroth expansion within that panel. Another interesting thing to observe on the poster is the mech material from Heroes of the Storm, which is weird because they kind of drop HOTS and their team has shrunk significantly. But if we're seeing that on the poster, maybe they will also announce something HOTS related. I would be happy. Of course, you have your regulars, Hearthstone character and Tracer from Overwatch at the bottom, which does imply the Overwatch 2 thing might be announced this year. More on that in a second, but there is also this scientist, which I believe is from StarCraft 2. And at the center stage of the poster, yes, it's a Diablo 4 Barbarian. or at least the Diablo Barbarian, but it doesn't really look similar to the Diablo Immortal art style. I mean, fuck it, it doesn't even look like the traditional cartoony, stylish Blizzard art style, which is, to be honest, very reassuring. I say this is a strong indication that Diablo 4 will be in some way or capacity shown at BlizzCon 2019, and hey, if you, like me, were ever a fan of Diablo at some point, then let's all get excited, shall we? Ha! Now you think it's pretty stupid to make all of these assumptions based on a goddamn poster, but hell, hold on. Let's take a look at past BlizzCon posters and see if we can correlate something, shall we? BlizzCon 2015 had big ol' Illidan shown, and it coincided with the Legion cinematic shown for the very first time at that year's BlizzCon. Then you see Alarak there, who tied in perfectly with the Legacy of the Void expansion for StarCraft 2, also announced then. In 2016, we had seen Diablo in his original male form, and this coincided with the 20-year Diablo anniversary event and the launch of the Necromancer class and the DLC in Diablo 3. And who can forget BlizzCon 2018? My phone still trolls me about it, but when you look at the poster, you can see again Diablo, looking a tad different, preparing our asses for the world-shaking Diablo Immortal announcement. But even more important, and this ties in with my Sylvanas cinematic theory, we see here Saurfang. This is where they showed off for the first time the Lost Honor cinematic, which was all about our boy Saurfang. Great cinematic, man.
Marcelian looks like a little boy getting ready for Christmas. And hey, who doesn't love an early Christmas? Speaking of which, things are brewing this time of year at Blizzard. A recent CNBC article had Wall Street turning their heads towards the future of Activision Blizzard, and you know, we nerds can have our little fun and speculations, hopes and dreams about what is to come, but when the Big Apple is turning its head, then you know shit's about to get real. Jeff Cohen is a major Wall Street analyst with a particular expertise in the gaming industry stocks, and he said that it's time to buy into Blizzard stocks because at BlizzCon 2019, he is expecting announcements for a new World of Warcraft expansion, Overwatch 2, and Diablo 4. I can see small-time fish speculators doing this to attract customers for brokerage, but not when it comes to a billion-dollar valued analyst such as Cohen. He just might have some inside information, and no one plays lightly with big investor money. Add this to all the BlizzCon posters and you have yourself some pretty realistic expectations. I'm hyped. Are you hyped? Let us know in the comments. And in today's comment of the day, we have this guy. JP said,
This guy looks like Mark Wahlberg.
we hired an investigation team to help us identify the person in question that resembled said celebrity figure. After multiple meetings, we concluded that it's none other than me, fool! Was there any doubt? We have no criteria when picking the comment. Go wild, and you might be the next one featured in our show. The PTR has some cool new things to get us all giddy, but not actual content for us to play just yet. As soon as you log in into the PTR, you'll get the what's new pop-up with Sylvanas on the forefront and Anduin right there a little bit in the back. And more importantly, the text there says that we are reaching, and actually in 8.2.5, we will have the conclusion to the war campaign. Just as Marcelian said earlier, with all of Sylvanas' shenanigans, we barely saw her in the game this whole expansion. Glimpses here and there, and mostly acting as a quest giver and receiver NPC, with Nathanos taking the more visible role in leading the war campaign. It might not be so anymore in 8.2.5, and this is of course way before 8.3 will hit. A couple of data mined information shows 2 encrypted cinematics that should be available once the patch launches. These might not be all of them, and one of them has to be the end of the war campaign cinematic, which we should probably have 2, no? One for Alliance and one for Horde. Will the conclusion be similar to the Siege of Orgrimmar cinematics, where the Horde and Alliance are in the same event, but the story is told from 2 different perspectives? This aside, the length of the cinematics is also impressive, one of them being 3.18 minutes long, the other being 6 minutes 18 seconds long. In comparison, the end of Eternal Palace cinematic is 1 minute and 22 seconds long. Seeing as how we are concluding the war campaign, it would make sense to wrap up the story, and it might tie in with the 8.3 patch and the future WoW expansion talk we also had last week, which you can check on our channel, of course. Sylvanas clearly has been going about her hidden agenda, and as many people suspected, she might have been working to strengthen us Azerothians this whole time. And I say Azerothians because clearly Sylvanas cares little about the Horde and what it stands for. She never really treated the Horde as a home, much like the Orcs, Torrents and the rest do. The end cinematic could very well be her revealing her plans, or at least stepping out of the shadows in front of both the Alliance and the Horde, starting what we would most likely do in 8.3, because let's be honest here, 8.2.5 is a transition patch. We had the Crucible raid in 8.1.5 as comparison, and that was a mini raid to transition from an Alliance versus Horde scenario to Azeroth versus Azshara and N'Zoth scenario. My speculation is that 8.2.5 will accomplish a similar task in creating a bigger narrative that will not unite the Horde and Alliance necessarily, but give them a goal, a villain, or a future raid to conquer. With the decline of BFA and its subsequent apparent revival with a classic launch, WoW seems to be coming back to life, if in a baby steps fashion. The stocks have risen, as we discussed earlier, and one of the few things that signifies a new influx of people, be it classic or live, is the launcher changes. The 8.2.5 PTR client received new art on a Battle.net launcher to signify change, coinciding with a lot of things, some of which are the game itself, that is seeing massive discounts, which initially started from 22%, reaching and surpassing 40% as of today. And not only that, Blizzard has had to deal with DDoS attacks, and if that is not a sign of the game growing bigger and bigger, then I don't know what is. Also, some good fixes besides the DDoS are the layer hopping fix, which could be a much larger impact on the community and especially on the auction house than it would initially seem. People have abused layer hopping as they did with shards and servers, etc, to farm herbs and mines and essentially interact with world objects that usually would have them wait for the respawn time. With this being the case, one could only hope that the auction house will cease to be overflooded with crafted goods that drastically reduce their gold value, or maybe we can even hope at a more steady economy. And let's not forget that with all the goodies 8.2.5 will bring, we will also have a revamped Recruit a Friend system.
You better believe it. Listen, I have used the old Recruit a Friend system many times in the past, and I still have some mounts from that, and they are pretty awesome, especially the Cindermane or the Touring Rocket and many others. Got all these on top of experience boosts, which helped me level some fresh alts back in Kata and Mop. The main difference between this new Recruit a Friend and versus the old one is that you will get goodies for a much longer time as long as the person you recruited keeps on playing. The selection of mounts is much smaller now when compared to the old system, but you do have more cosmetic stuff to be added, all branded with the League of Explorers. You can see here all the rewards you are getting based on the amount of time your buddy or buddies are paying for, and I also placed a link in the description if you want to read up more on the details.
Boy, I gotta tell you, man, it's looking better and better for BFA with each new week, man, and I'm really excited about Blizzcon.
I don't know, man. I'm just happy you have shit to talk about on cooldown.
Finally, right? No more classic talks? Ugh.
Man, I'm telling you, I got super hyped with this old BlizzCon 2019, and I really do believe that Blizzard are super aware they have to beat the shit this year.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking Diablo 4, Overwatch 2, which I don't have that much of an interest in, but I did heard its PvE stuff and single player, and that should be awesome. But Diablo 4, looking at that picture with the barbarian being all nitty gritty, not that much of a big color scheme.
Can we have a glory Diablo again, a dark Diablo?
I'm sure it will, man. I'm sure it will. And also having Sylvanas over there now, you know my thoughts already on this one. We talked about this earlier. I believe she won't be a center character in the new expansion, but I believe it will be a fully blown CGI cinematic shown, because she's the only one left out. I mean, let's be serious. There's no cinematic apart from the BFA intro cinematic. There's nothing with her.
Yeah, the Wordbringer. We had the Wordbringer, but that's
small.
Yeah, Azshara has one too.
Burn the tree.
Yeah, I think Sylvanas is gonna launch the next expansion, but I'm not sure how much of a role she will play throughout the entire expansion, but she's probably gonna be a key element at the start.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I mean, it has been a lot of silence with Sylvanas, especially in 8.2. We're expecting a lot of shit for 8.2.5. There has been data mine. We talked about this, you know, the encrypted cinematics, the fucking 6 minutes, man. What are you trying to do? It's like almost a show.
That's a lot, man. That's like 2 expansion intro cinematics back to back.
Well, there was a little bit of talk that the total length of these cinematics kind of boil up to what we already had within the game, and some people said that maybe it's just all of those cinematics cramped in over there. But even like that,
yeah.
the length isn't exactly the same.
Exactly. It's not fully fleshed out, and if you take it that way, there's still some of them missing. So I like to think that we're getting new shit. I like to think that we're getting a 6-minute cinematic. That will be popcorn worthy movie time.
Yeah, man, I gotta say, man, I'm hyped as an adolescent girl. Shit. All in all, hello Patreons again. We love y'all for keeping this shit alive. You know, there's some good days and some bad days with YouTube. Luckily, we have our Patreons and our Twitch subs as well. We cannot forget about our Twitch subs.
Yeah, no, our Twitch has been growing a little bit in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, thank you guys. What we can promise is that we're gonna have a lot more content coming ahead. We have a lot of guides already planned out. Some of them are already rendered and shit. We have the new video series that we posted on Monday, which will be like WoW Talk, sort of like a podcasty feel to it, where you take the center stage of the video with comments and on different subjects and stuff. So thank you. You're supporting, we believe, some quality stuff and consistent stuff.
So thank you very much for watching this week's episode. We wish you have a happy weekend and see you in the next one.
Peace.
You